जो हमने पीपीटी और मटेरियल से भेजा था वो देखे हो?
जी सर देखे लेकिन पढ़े नहीं है अभी उतना। पढ़ेंगे।
अच्छा ठीक। क्या हो रहा है? तो कुछ गड़बड़ क्या आ रहा है जी? ये क्या आ रहा है लास्ट में यहाँ पे? शेयर स्क्रीन कर रहा हूँ तो ये कहीं। अच्छा दिख रहा है अब? स्लाइड दिख रहा है अब?
जी सर।
Actually, we have discussed about the UST processing, and we have already discussed the different type of UST systems and their comparison with respect to all aspects regarding product quality, their energy requirement, their cost, space required, falling and turn down. We have already discussed all things. We have also discussed the different types of sterilizing medium for the cleaning or sterilizing the surface of the milk, which is under process of aseptic packaging. So for that we are using saturated steam, dry heat steam. We have already discussed ultraviolet radiation, which is very useful, particularly in the case of cleaning the or sterilizing the packaging units. So besides that, we have already discussed the ionizing radiation, which is gamma rays, which is also used for sterilizing the packaging material, laminates particularly. So now we have to discuss another that they are very common chemical sterilizer we are actually used. We have already discussed in previous class regarding ethylene glycol, ethylene oxides, we S2O2, which is still they are used in a big way in the UST plant. You have also visited Nalanda Dairy, and where you can also observe that S2O2 is being used, and it is also actually approved by the International Dairy Federation, and it is allowed in the concentration of not more than 1 ppm, particularly for the hall, where we are actually sterilizing the packaging in packaging and also the packaging environment. We have also we furthermore residual concentration of milk immediately after filling should not exceed 1 ppb within 45 hours, 24 hours. So most of the times some worker have suggested not to use this one up to with the S2O2 or UV radiation in combination of both. So we have in previous class we have discussed these things step by step. Now, what are the chemical changes which is actually take place during the UST processing? We have not discussed. So you already studied the pasteurization process. You have already studied the sterilization process. So in sterilization and also pasteurization, we have studied, we have learned that most of the nutrients, is actually lost. But in UST processing, we can see that there is a little destruction of the nutrients. So here we can see what are the changes take place during the processing of milk. Fresh milk which has slightly hoop flavor. Why? Because when we heat the milk, then there is a release of sulfhydryl compound from the nature whey proteins, and you can say lactoalbumin, and even serum proteins. So these are actually contributing the sulfhydryl compounds which makes the milk somewhat cook flavor. So UST processing does not cause reduction in biological value of protein. So you understand that the biological value of protein is as similar what we get from the raw milk. So here we can observe that only 6 to 7% of lysine, which is the essential amino acid, which is actually lost due to the processing of UST processing of the milk. And we can also observe that there is a slight changes in the casein micelle structure. And serum protein, we have lactoalbumin and lactoalbumin. Why my picture is not coming? My face is why not coming? Rajkumar, you can. Yes.
Hello.
My figure is not coming, na?
आता होगा सर.
Dr. Veer Singh sir said perhaps entering into the class. या तो आ रहा है.
तो वो सर स्क्रीन शेयर करते हैं ना तब हो जाता है.
हाँ तो स्क्रीन शेयर में हट नहीं, और सब क्लास ले रहा हूँ उसमें नहीं हट रहा है. Once again, I am sharing. So we are discussing here that when we are go for UST processing, definitely we can get somewhat food flavor because sulfur-hydride compound is actually released due to the whey protein, particularly serum proteins. But the biological value of the protein is not reduced, not loss. Any loss has been reported by the several workers. So UST processing does not reduce the biological value of protein, that is similar to the raw milk. So only we can see that the lysine, which is essential amino acid, that is actually lost 6 to 7% only into the due to the UST processing. So there is a slight changes in casein micelle structures, that is different forms alpha, beta, gamma, kappa casein. So that is actually somewhat actually changed. So we can see that casein structure is somewhat changed, but overall the biological value is retained by the even by the UST processed milk. We can also say that the 50 to 70% of the serum protein is actually denatured due to the direct processing of the milk, and in direct processing we can actually lost up 70 to 90% of the serum protein. Serum protein means immunoglobulin, or you can say lactoglobulin, and these are actually also reported that is actually interact with the casein. That the serum protein is actually interact with the casein, which results fluorinate action during the cheese manufacture. We are using that milk for the cheese manufacture, then definitely there is a reduction in renate action. Then another thing is that the size of the casein micelle is increased, and slight more light, and UST appears whiter. So you can see that you can always observe that UST milk are slightly more whiter than the normal milk. So UST milk is slightly more whiter than the normal milk, and we can also say that aggregate of denatured serum protein and casein also give chalky mouth feel to the product. So these are the changes take place due to the UST processing. Now we can other things which we can observe, that is the major component of the milk is also fat. So it has been noticed that there is no physical or chemical change take place in the milk fat. So we can not lose any fat in the milk due to the UST processing. Another one is the total mineral content does not change during the UST processing. Another thing is that vitamin content of UST milk is quite comparable to the pasteurized milk. So you can already notice that in pasteurized milk we can lose 30 to 35% of vitamin C and other vitamins also. But in case of pasteurized milk, we are losing 60 to 70% of the milk vitamin C. So in VST we can get the similar, almost similar loss of vitamins due to the UST processing. So loss in vitamin B complex has reported not more than 10% in the UST milk, and folic acid and ascorbic acid are destroyed up to 50% and 25% respectively. That means folic acid is destroyed up to 15% and ascorbic acid destroyed by 25%. Depending upon the method, two type of method we already discussed: indirect method and direct method. So on the basis of methods, we are actually losing our folic acid and ascorbic acid. Similarly, we can already know there is several fat soluble vitamins present in the milk, that is in form of A, D, E, K, that is not actually reported any changes in UST processing due to the UST processes. So here we can understand that there is no physical and chemical change take place in the milk, and there is no change in mineral content of the milk, and even the vitamin content is almost similar loss what we get in the pasteurized milk. Similarly, the vitamin B complex loss is not more than 10%, and folic acid is actually destroyed up to 15%, and ascorbic acid is destroyed up to 25%. And there are several fat soluble vitamin A, D, E, K, which is actually not any change due to the UST process. So here we can also understand that due to these changes take place due to the UST processing, that is actually also leads to the different off flavor in the milk. So what are the changes take place in UST milk during storage? So we have already discussed that there is a cook flavor in the, we can observe in the UST milk due to the release of sulfide compound, and the cook flavor decreases when we keep the UST milk. The cook flavor decreases and oxidized, stally, and even coconut flavor increases. Chemical, sensory, and physical changes in stored UST milk are dependent upon temperature, the storage temperature. You have already noticed that when we keep the UST milk at temperature more than 35%, it has been observed that there is a problem, browning defect we can observe in the UST milk, because protein, there is an interaction between protein and lactose during the storage. Particularly, it has been noticed at the storage temperature more than 30 degrees centigrade. So UST milk may become little brown when we keep the milk more than 3 to 4 months. So this is the browning reaction which may take place due to in between the protein and the lactose during the storage of milk for the longer period of time. And we can also observe that some of when we refrigerated storage of raw milk, when we use the refrigerated storage of raw milk, that is chilled milk, is used before processing of milk, that actually chilling favors the growth of psychotrophs. Psychotrophs there are so many psychotrophs: Pseudomonas praesae, Pseudomonas fluorescens, Pseudomonas. There are so many Pucillus. There are so many subspecies of the psychotrophs. So they are actually releasing heat resist proteases and lipases. That actually causes bitterness in the UST milk, and excessive proteolysis and other physicochemical changes occur due to the interaction of protein and salt during storage, which may cause thickening or sweet curdling defect, which is also known as age thickening defect in the UST milk, which is kept for more than 6 months. So you can also hear the sweet curdling defect in the milk also. That two type of curdling actually take place in the milk. One is sweet curdling, another one is natural curdling. So natural curdling is actually due to the conversion of lactose into lactic acid when the acidity reaches naturally, and it is observed that in winter the acidity development in the milk is within 3 hours, within 2 hours, 3 hours, the acidity of milk is more than sufficient to coagulate the milk, particularly in summer. But in case of winter, there is take almost 4 hours to 5 hours to get acidity and to get milk coagulated. But sometimes you can observe that when we collect the milk from the shed or from the other sources, when we keep the milk on the for heating, you can get immediate coagulation of the milk. That is sweet curdling. Sweet curdling is takes place due to the not due to the natural acid development, but this is due to the protease enzymes, protein renin like enzymes actually released by the anaerobic bacteria, particularly Bacillus cereus, Bacillus subtilis, that actually creates the sweet curdling defect, and that is caused as thickening in the UST milk, when particularly observed when the milk is stored up to 6 months at higher temperature. So this is the drawback of with respect to the UST milk, that it may be when we not keep properly the milk at suitable temperature or keep more than 3 or 4 months, browning may take place. There may be chances of age thickening defect in the UST milk. And similarly, there may also chances of oxidative sensitivity, we can discuss later. And lipases, we have already told you that during the when we keep the when we utilize the chilled milk for the UST processing, but during the chilling, they actually encourages the growth of proteo. They are actually increases the growth of psychotrophs, and psychotrophs are actually responsible for the such type of defects. And this is actually UST, the lipases actually act on the lipid fraction. Short chain and medium chain free fatty acids are released, and they are actually creating rancid flavor in the UST milk. So short chain fatty acid, particularly butyric acid, are responsible for the rancid flavor defect in the UST milk. But it can be controlled when we use the fresh milk. Definitely we can overcome such type of defect. This type of defect is generally we cannot observe here in the product or in the packet react with the unsaturated acid. And unsaturated, this auto-oxidation reaction causes formation of aldehydes and ketones, and these compounds has been considered for oxidative rancidity in the product. So these are the things which are actually take place in the UST milk, and so we have to very conscious in utilization of milk. What are the what points we have to consider, so that we can get the get the proper or without any type of defects. So we can observe the UST of any off flavor or any defects. So these are the points we have to discuss today. Another topic we have discussed now is मेरा फोटो क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? One thing we have to also one of in the syllabus is that cleaning and sanitation of dairy equipments. So we have to also study the bio detergents in this chapter also. So briefly go with the you already also study in the BTech also that what is cleaning and what is the sanitation, and what are the different means by which we can actually sterilize or sanitize the dairy equipments. So just recap all the things for your refreshment. So cleaning means actually cleaning and sanitation both are complementary and generally employed in dairy industry to ensure hygienic production and product safety for the consumers. Or cleaning means removal of soil from the surface of equipment, and sanitation means that is complete destruction of all pathogenic and almost all non-pathogenic organisms from the equipments or the environment. So cleaning and sanitation both are complementary process, and only there are so many classification of these cleanliness: physical cleanliness, chemically clean, and microbiologically clean. So we can, what is the soil? So soil may comprises largely fat, proteins, insoluble calcium salt from waters, and or detergents and bacteria. The composition of soil is generally depending upon the type of product you are going to prepare, or depending upon the sources of milk. So there may vary. Ash, that is minerals, 42 to 67%, fat 3.6% to 18%, protein 4.5 to 44%, and moisture 2.7 to 8.7%. So these are the composition of the soil. That means you have already know that soil is actually a dairy soil, comprises largely fat, protein, insoluble calcium salt from water or detergent and bacteria. These are actually come, and the target of this is also continued deposition of soil leads to accumulation of larger and harder particles, that is known as milk stones. Milk stones. So cleaning actually requires energy, usually in form of mechanical or heat energy, or cleaning agent required water or cleaning compounds or detergent that actually reduce energy required for soil removal. Detergent is a substance that either alone or mixture reduce the work requirement of the cleaning process. So cleaning protocols we can follow displacement of the soil from the surface by the solution, by the emulsification, saponification. You have already studied the process, the terms in the chemistry, dairy chemistry. The soil is actually removed from the surface, that is removed in solution by scattering or deflocculation or emulsification, or lastly the surface is rinsed to prevent the redeposition of the dispersed soil on the clean surface. So we are actually go for CIP for the cleaning the things. So what is the good properties of the detergents? So detergents is actually assist in the process of washing and cleaning. What are the characteristics of good detergents? So you already know that it should be highly penetratable, so that it can able to remove the soil or the particles from the equipment. It must be able to dissolve calcium salt which is deposited on the surface and keep them remain in solution to check redeposition of the particles. Process moderate form generation capacity, that is non-cohesiveness. That means it is not create any cohesiveness, and the detergent must have high bactericidal properties. That means it kills the microbes which is actually present on the surface of the equipment, and it has the ability to soften water for washing of the equipment, and it has good wetting power to assist the water to penetrate the greasy texture, and then lastly the detergent must be non-toxic, because if any residual amount is present on the equipment due to certain reasons, they may actually poisonous, and they just actually come into the milk and milk product, and when the consumer consume that things, that is actually toxic for their health. So it must be the good detergent must be non-toxic. Another one is that generally we can use alkaline. You can also discuss the CIP also in brief. Detergents are alkaline, but acid detergents are actually employed to remove the milk stones. Milk stone, I have already discussed milk stone. That is the accumulation of soil on the surface. Accumulation of soil on the surface of the equipment. So that actually deposit in large amount, then it is converted into the milk stone. So generally acid detergents are actually employed to remove the milk stones. Modern detergents, we will discuss the different type of bio detergents in the next chapter. And so we are using more than one cleaning compounds so that the cleaning can be take place very easily. And there the soda, they are commonly used alkalines are soda as caustic soda, sodium bicarbonate, sodium metasilicate, and trisodium phosphate. These are actually used, and soda as trisodium phosphate and sodium metasilicate in the ratio of 12 is to 5 is to 3 to make very useful for general cleaning of the equipment. So these three, soda, sodium phosphate, and sodium metasilicate, is actually used in the ratio of 12 into 5 into 3, and it is very much useful for general cleaning of the dairy equipment. For cleaning of aluminum or aluminum alloy equipments, a mild mixture containing trisodium phosphate, sodium bicarbonate, or sodium metasilicate in the proportion of 2:2:1 is actually sufficient for cleaning the equipment. One part of this mixture should be dissolved is actually in 200 parts of water. A very good detergent for washing is a mixture of 5 to 10% sodium hexametaphosphate with sufficient caustic soda to give 1.5% alkalinity. Another one is that water softeners. So you can always see there is a softening plant in the dairy, so that we can get the soft water in the for the dairy. When we use the hard water, then definitely we can encourage the falling on the equipment. So there may be more soil, there may be more milk stone on your dairy equipment. So generally, softening plant is actually established in the premises of dairy, so we can get the soft water. So soft water is actually encourages to less deposition of soil on the equipment, on the dairy equipment. So hard water is not recommended for cleaning of the dairy or food equipment, because hard water retaining minerals and they are actually deposited on the surface of the equipment, which is known as falling, and so it is not recommended. So that is why we are using soft water. And hard water also causes spotting and promotes water stone and milk stone formation, besides processing soap, destroying and scale forming properties. Replacing 5 to 10% of soda ash in the detergent mixture with equivalent proportion of Calagon takes care of the hardness in the water. Synthetic detergents are also used. They have a good surface active and emulsifying properties, which actually improve wetting and penetrating power by lowering the surface tension of water and improve the cleaning efficiency of the equipment. So acid cleaners, I already discussed that where we can use acid when we have to clean the milk stones. Yeah, when we have to clean the milk stone, so we are actually use acid cleaning agent, generally recommended in combination with alkaline agents to remove milk stone deposited on the metal surface exposed to heat. And a phosphoric acid diluted with water, generally 140 gram in 45.3 kg is very commonly used. Selection of detergents. We have already told you that acid are very effective in dissolving the mineral salts and in hydrolysis of proteins, while caustic alkali will break down the carbonized deposits and saponify the fat and oils. So acids are used generally for dissolving the mineral salt and in hydrolysis of proteins, whereas caustic alkali removes the carbonized deposits and saponify the fat and oil from the surface of the equipment. So generally acid is used. Another one is neutral materials such as sequestrants and surfactants are used to prevent the precipitation of water hardness salt in the hot and alkaline solution, and for wetting of soil penetration, soil suspension and surface tension reduction respectively. So we can use these detergents. Nowadays, bio detergents are actually used because these are detergents, the detergents which is conventionally used for the dairy industry is not eco-friendly, and they are causing environment concern also. So scientists or some worker develop some bio detergents which is very useful, not only for cleaning the equipment, but at the same time they are actually eco-friendly, and they pose very economic, eco-friendly, and they are actually even based on enzyme based, and they are actually biodegradable, and even non-toxic, less toxic, which not only improves the cleaning efficiency, but it is actually for sanitizing the equipment also. So I will discuss in details in the next class. Sanitation, we have already discussed sanitation, that is used, classified into three categories: thermal, radiation, and chemical. And thermal radiation are very effective. Their efficacy is actually depend upon the extent of what is the load of microbial load on the equipment, what is the humidity, what is the pH, temperature, and time. So temperature, time, pH, and microbial load is actually very much factors which actually affect the sanitation of the equipment. So we are already discussed the steams, which is still very much effective as a sanitizer, but it has high cost. Byproduct of steam condensation can cause hurdle in the cleaning operations. It is also difficult to monitor contact temperature and time. So another one is hot water. Hot water is still used, still in the dairy industry for cleaning the or sanitizing the dairy equipment, because it is very less expensive and easy to apply, or easily available. Or you already know that it is non-corrosive, and it can penetrate into the cracks and effective over the broad range of microorganisms. Process required come up and cool down time, and therefore the process is very sluggish, very slow. The energy costs are very high. Safety aspects has also taken care of. The disadvantage of forming and contributing of films formation and shortening of time of certain equipments or parts such as gaskets. Hot water sanitation is commonly used through emulsion, small parts, leaves, and the spray or circulating system. So this is actually effective for the small parts. Temperature time combination required depends upon the application. We have also used radiation in form of ultraviolet, high energy cathode, or gamma rays. 2 into 5 destroy the microbial rapidly. Ultraviolet rays in the when we use 25 angstrom units has been used extensively in form of sterilizing lamp to destroy undesirable organisms for the foods. UV radiation contact time just more than 2 minutes are very useful on surface that are heat sensitive, such as flexible packaging material. So we are actually sterilize the packaging films or packaging material or cardboard boxes by the means of UV radiation. So chemical sanitation, we are already use very wide range of chemical sanitizer which is available in the industry, that is chlorine, iodine, and quaternary ammonium compounds. Chlorine-based sanitizers, we have definitely still we are used even in the COVID situation. The chlorine is actually used to sanitize the environment, sanitize the home. And chlorine is very effective because it has better bactericidal properties, even other germs also. And chlorine is very effective even at low temperature, and it is available in plenty and very cheap, and leaves very minimum residues. So that is why chlorine is still used, and chlorine is also non-toxic and practically colorless, odorless, and tasteless. So it cannot even affect with what somewhat residues if available on the surface of the equipment. Only used chlorine compounds are liquid chlorine, hypochlorites, inorganic chloramines, and organic chloramines also. Maximum allowable level for the no rinse application is 200 ppm. Available chlorine, but recommended usage level vary. Iodine, it is also one of the sanitizer, chemical sanitizer after chlorine, and it is very active agents, and but it is too stable, not too stable. This is the drawback of iodine. And iodine sanitizer exists in many forms. Exist in usually in many forms, usually with surfactants as a carrier, and the mixture are called iodophores. And iodophores, like iodine, chlorine compounds, have very broad spectrum activity against bacteria, virus, yeast, mold, and protozoa. Or generally recommended dose for iodophores is 12.5 ppm to 25 ppm for 1 minute only. That is actually sufficient for the cleaning of the equipment. You already know what is CIP and what are the benefits of CIP. We already study in BTech also. So this is the process of cleaning of the equipment. So this is about today's lectures. Have you any query? You can ask a question. Have you any query?
No, sir.
You can ask, no problem. हाँ बोलो, कुछ पूछना है इसमें?
नहीं सर।
तो इसके बाद जो है बायो डिटर्जेंट्स, जो इसमें थोड़ा सा है एस्पेक्ट, इसको नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम इसको कंप्लीट करेंगे, ठीक है ना? टाइमिंग भी इसमें 5 मिनट बचा है केवल। और दूसरी बात है कि जो प्रैक्टिकल वगैरह सब जो बताए थे वो सब लिख रहे हो ना, लिख लेना उसको सर, है? और थोड़ा सा कैसा है तुम्हारा कंडीशन अब? ठीक नहीं है? अच्छा, तो ऐसा कर रहे हो, हम शनिवार को तो फिक्स क्लास लेंगे और मटेरियल तो हम भेज ही दे रहे हैं, और शनिवार को तुम्हारा एक क्लास फिक्स रहेगा, ठीक है ना?